A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH286, Patricia and David. And it's been a very messy day here. Showers on and off. Pretty cool to start with. It's actually not tropical now, 15 degrees. But again, we've got no wind. The boat's facing north, but we've got this mild anticyclone. The barometer is 1022.3 and it is dropping. We're getting the front overnight, so we'll get the rain. And then it will be a decent passage conditions for anybody left in New Zealand, Rewa, and maybe someone else, but I don't know of anybody else. We've got 90% cloud cover. This is the first night we have absolutely nobody that we know of that is checking in on the radio, because Soy Libre is in, Narida is in, everyone is hunky-dory. And in fact, Juno, who we were calling for not so long ago, is being helped into Port Vila as we speak. They have arrived and getting some assistance due to lack of working engine, and have arrived in Port Vila from Opua. Nothing much more from me. I will give a call in a minute to see if anybody has anything, but it's very, very quiet. David will just, he sees enough to, with his new lens in his eye, to read the weather forecast from Fiji. But I shall just mention that when I gave the news last night, I think it was, I forgot to mention that there has been quite a significant prisoner swap. The Russians and the Americans did quite a big, well, Americans with the help from the Europeans, because one of the people they gave back was an assassin who I think was in jail. He was convicted in Germany. But 7 other Russians that the West had were given in exchange for 15 that had been put inside in Russia. So that was all pretty good, because I suspect that many of those that were in jail in Russia were not expecting to be freed. Anyway, it's well, Zumac says that we are not alone with the cold weather, and they're in French Polynesia. Boy, that's interesting. Good evening to you, Paolo and Anna, on streaming. Okay, I shall pass the microphone to see what the weather is doing, and then I will give a call to anybody with anything out there.
Yeah, good evening to those of you that are listening, and we'll start off with Fiji, and this comes from Fiji Met, and they have a strong wind warning, and that remains in force for all Fiji waters. That's everything, folks, all the way from Viti Levu, Vanua Levu, all the way up to Rambi, over to the Lau, Kandavu, everything. Southeast winds 20 to 25 knots, rough seas, and a moderate southerly swell. And the 48-hour forecast is same thing. Southeast winds 20 to 25 knots, the rough seas, and moderate southerly swell. And taking a look at the big picture, we have a fairly good size high that's just to the center of it, just to the northeast of New Zealand. It's moving off. In fact, it's heading towards Raoul Island as we speak. And then there's a frontal band that runs from New Zealand right up through Norfolk Island, goes up to the west of New Caledonia, and then up into the Coral Sea. Then there is there's 2 troughs. One runs from the Solomons over to Tuvalu, then Tokelau, breaks up a bit. Another trough runs from the Northern Cooks, and it goes southeast from there. And then there's even another trough that's just to the north of Samoa, and that runs northwest to southeast. And in the meantime, that high that I was talking about is building up some quite a bit of wind in most of the island groups, so be prepared for that. The isobars are fairly well compressed from what I could see. So looking at Tonga, Tonga has got a strong wind warning for, well, almost everywhere. Tongatapu, the Hapais, Vava'u, New Potatoes, and also the Minervas, Telikitanga, Tokatel. How about that? And looking at their forecast, they have a strong wind warning out and small craft advisory that's in force for all Tongan coastal waters. That means southeast winds 15 to 20, rising 25 knots at times, moderate seas 2.5 meters, and then Saturday for Vavau and Hapai, southeast winds 15 to 20, rising to 25 knots at times. And then for Tongatapu and for the Minervas, southeast winds, that's 10 to 15 knots, rising up to 25 knots at times. And moderate seas up to 2 meters. And let's see, I was going to take a look at, we'll run over to Vanuatu for those that are listening. And this is coming from their Met Service. And so they break up the band of islands, if you will, to the northern, central, and southern. And so I'll give you the central forecast. And the central covers Santo, Balakula, Mawo, Pentecost, Ambram, and Epi. So that whole bunch is included in this. So, weather conditions mostly cloudy. Waves out of the southeast up to 3 meters. Wind speed 25 knots out of the southeast. And the sea state is rough. And then if we look at the channel, I guess between Fatia and Aramango, that's blowing too, 25 knots, 3 meter seas. The waves are coming out of the southeast. The wind is coming out of the southeast as well. And let's see, what else do they have to offer? The northern waters, so that's pretty simple. Mostly cloudy, 3 meter seas, southeast winds 25, like a broken record, huh? And wind direction out of the southeast, and sea state obviously rough with that swell of 3 meters, I could just imagine. So that's the northern bit, and let's see what we can find in the southern bit. And that includes basically Port Vila, Aramango, Tana, and Anisham, and mostly cloudy as well there. Southeast waves 3 meters, swells I should say, and the wind speed southeast 25 knots. So it's rough everywhere really, and that's due to the compression of the isobars, thanks to that nice high that's leaving us, and it's leaving us with some crummy weather today and tomorrow, but then that'll be gone. So that's the summary for the Southwest Pacific. If anybody has a question, come now, and I'm going to pass it to the chief.
And I will turn up the volume of the various antennas. Is there anybody out there wanting to share anything, any news of note? Please call now. Soy Libre, I see you, it looked like you were still at the customs dock. You had obviously you have arrived, and is all well with clearing in, Andy? Over?
I'm out front of Mango's and Crocken here on a mooring, and the weather is beautiful. And the wind is probably about 8 knots coming out of the southeast so far. We're protected though.
Protected.
Okay, so you've moved on to a mooring, that's good, and nice southeast, 8 knots only. Beautiful weather by the sound of it. I wish we had a bit of that. It's kind of crummy here when it's dull and grey and rain on and off, but I've got a holiday to look forward to. So Well done, and yep, you've got some other boats we know in the same area, so I'm sure you will be catching up with everybody you knew back here. So well done, and we'll talk to you next time you take off, Andy. Over.
Yeah, let me talk to Scotty and see if he can transport some of this beautiful weather over to you. Over.
Yeah, it would be nice. It is really crummy. So anyway, I won't be worrying. In a week's time, we will be. This is for everybody. We will not be on air in a week's time because I'm taking off to the sunshine and warmth. So we will be here next week. Hopefully, Rewa will be on the way and almost there by the time I take off. So don't worry, I will be finding some good sunshine, first of all in the United States and California, and then in Portugal. So I'm looking forward to that, and I won't even have to worry about navigating myself there on the big birds. So well done, Andy, back to you.
Yeah, I'm all good here, and I'm going to stand clear.
Okay, and I'm sure you'll be participating in a cold one to go with all that fish you've got on board. Okay, is there anybody else for Gulf Harbour? No, nothing heard. All right, we will leave you in peace, and we may or may not hear from Rewa tomorrow night. I think he's going to wait until Saturday, but might be okay when these fronts go through. So we'll catch you all very briefly again tomorrow. It's a very quiet time of the year for the radio while you're all lounging around enjoying the 25 knots in some places and 8 knots in others. Cheers, everybody.